So, I just sat down after a long day at work to watch the latest installment to the Star Wars saga, Tales of the Jedi. Now, you can imagine my excitement for another Star Wars TV show done in the same animation style as the Clone Wars and worked on by Dave Filoni. And I gotta tell you, I was really looking forward to this show for a lot of reasons. Just based off of the trailer, we'd be seeing flashbacks to where Ahsoka came from, kind of like where her origins were when she was a little kid, and it looked like it showed how she became Anakin's Padawan, things like that. But really, the thing I was most excited for was seeing a young Count Dooku, which immediately captured my attention because this was a character that had its own level of mystery around him for so long. I mean, I know there were books that probably went more into detail about his character, but I'm really more of a strictly TV show, movie kind of guy. And just from the context we got from him about the movies, he just seemed like sort of just another one-off villain that was just sort of there, and it was like, yeah, I joined the dark side, I was a Jedi, yeah, and, I had a lot of respect going for me, and, I was considered a really great Jedi, but then I'm just suddenly a villain because reasons. However, you can imagine my disappointment when it turned out that this series wasn't as detail-oriented as, say, the Clone Wars. And I guess to be fair, I was expecting kind of Clone Wars level of an investment, really, in the show, because I was expecting it to be, lots and lots of episodes, like going into each thing, expanding on the previous episode, things like that. But really, it was more of like giant jumps in the timeline, where it was like, you got one episode where you saw Ahsoka when she was a little tiny baby and saw her using the Force for the very first time and people realizing she had the powers of a Jedi. Then you jump to a pretty young-looking Count Dooku with his young apprentice, Qui-Gon Jinn, which was awesome to see. But you go through that episode thinking it's going to connect to the next thing, and it doesn't. It jumps to events that's like all the way into the prequel trilogy, which again, I like to see. It's just, I legitimately thought Dooku was genuine when he said to Obi-Wan, when he captured him on Geonosis, that he was genuinely heartbroken that Qui-Gon died. And he was trying to give Obi-Wan a deal to try and like get him over to his side of things. And I thought genuinely he meant what he said, but it was just sort of like, what caused you to fall to the dark side so hard? And really, like, this show, it hints at it, it gives little tidbits of information, but it doesn't go to that same level of detail I would have liked with the Clone Wars. I mean, you get to see where he comes in thinking like Jedi are in this area of the galaxy are well respected, but then he kind of gets a shocked look when people are like, no, you're just servants of the Republic, and they're beating the crap out of us. And you have this look, he has this look dawn on him like, oh, maybe people don't think we're as hot shit as we thought. And then this is just like further cemented his mind when there's this Republic senator that shows up and he's just abusing the crap out of these people and just objectively being a bad person. And you just see him kind of snap a little bit, and it's just sort of like, okay. So we definitely see where you were always a hot-headed kind of person, and you had this like definite old school Jedi way of doing things for sure. But I really wanted to see his descent, and it was really kind of, this episode happened, and then you jump all the way to events in the prequel trilogy where you get to see him talking with an older Qui-Gon, which I'm pretty positively sure they got Liam Neeson back to play Qui-Gon Jinn for the voice character, or they found the most perfect double. I mean, it's crazy, but it was really good hearing Qui-Gon Jinn and seeing Qui-Gon Jinn and it sounding like Qui-Gon Jinn, and they didn't just get some other actor to replace him if they didn't do that, and they actually got Liam Neeson back. But that's a really drastic time jump to things where there's all this information in between, and again you get to know a little bit more where he's like, I'm on Qui-Gon's side with this thing. The Sith are a problem. They're definitely coming back, but the Council doesn't want to hear it. And then I don't know if it was the next episode or was in that same episode, but time jumps again where it's after Qui-Gon dies, and it's definitely implied that at that point he's just like, I'm done. Like, the person I cared the most for in this order died because of the Council's incompetence. I'm just done. I'm not a part of this anymore. And he leaves, and Jedi Master Yaddle follows him. And again, this is where I was really hoping we would see like how Dooku got involved with Sidious. I thought he was going to like hunt him down, try and find out who he was, uncover those kind of mysteries, and then it would reveal like what Palpatine said to him to kind of lure him over. And it was really just more like, yeah, we're already in cahoots with each other, and we pretty much were like before the events of Qui-Gon's death. Like, because, Dooku comes in and he's super pissed off that Maul killed Qui-Gon. And so all of that implies that he was a part of that big conspiracy, but at the same time, it's just sort of like, I really wish I could have seen what led to this whole situation. It's not what I wanted, but it's definitely given me a lot of extra context to things. It's definitely given me some perspective into some things and given me some insight into technically what I wanted to see. It just didn't go to the depth I wanted to, and it did miss a couple of things that I did want them to talk about, but it definitely seems like this show wasn't meant to be Clone Wars level, absurd levels of context of a saga that they built with the Clone Wars. It's definitely just these tiny little extra chapters that are just supposed to add little extra bits of context here and there. And, for the most part, for what it is, I really enjoyed it. I definitely enjoyed seeing Ahsoka a little bit after the events of Order 66. And I gotta tell you, there was nothing more disturbing than seeing a dead version of Padme in that animated form in that same scene from Revenge of the Sith when they're carting her body to, like, through her funeral process thing. And what actually got me really choked up is Senator Organa was there, and he actually spots Ahsoka through the crowds, and he catches up to her later on, and is just like, what are you doing here? Like, you understand you're putting yourself at huge risk just by being here? And she's just like, yeah, but she was my friend. And I was like, oh, damn it. Oh, that hurts. That hurts a lot. But just having that as just a part of the Star Wars lore just meant a lot to me. Just to know that Ahsoka just didn't disappear. She still... It just helps build on the fact that these characters were legitimately friends. And they would definitely risk their lives to be there for like someone's funeral, regardless of what danger it puts them in, because that's what they meant to them. But again, though, with things being as short and kind of wrapping things up pretty quickly as they were, it did leave a lot to be desired. For example, I don't know who this Overwatch-looking motherfucker is. He was super cool for like the first 30 seconds he was on screen, but then he was pretty much like dead. And I was like, damn it. I would have really liked to see where that guy came from, because he had a really cool look. And he just sort of died like immediately. But, it was still kind of cool seeing that after all that time that of Ahsoka being kind of in hiding and not really honing her skills, she was more than a match for this guy, and just dodge, grab, decapitation. It was pretty sweet. But even still, I was expecting to see like what it was about Ahsoka that made Anakin kind of gravitate towards her and want her as his Padawan, but we don't really see that either. We see like kind of events before, just before that, I think, and then it immediately jumps to when she's already his apprentice. And I just kind of would have liked to have seen that conversation where it's just sort of like he explains what he sees in her and why he wants her to be his apprentice, but we don't get that. All in all, I enjoyed it because it's Star Wars and it adds context to things, even if it's not all the context I would have wanted. The animation style is incredible, and it's really done nothing else but further my own desire to get a sequel trilogy animation in that same style, because I know that the sequel trilogy got Age of Resistance. It's not really my preferred art style. I'm sure it's a great show. I'm sure there, for anyone out there who loves it, I'm not bagging on it at all because I haven't watched it. It's not the kind of style that I prefer. Definitely Clone Wars, or at least Rebels animated style, because those are very similar in a lot of ways. But I would really like to see a sequel trilogy animation show done with the Clone Wars style animation and done by Dave Filoni, because if anyone has the ability to add the context that even I can admit that those films need, it's Dave Filoni. He did it for the prequels, he did it masterfully, and I would like to see that again with the sequels, with that kind of animation style. But I would like to know what you guys think. Did you enjoy the show? I genuinely would like to know. If you wouldn't mind commenting down below, If I feel like I have something to add to whatever you say, I'd love to have a conversation with you maybe. And if you like my channel, please give me a like. If you want to see more, please give me a subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next one. See ya.